1/3 of enterprises are realizing their cloud ambitions. This pessimistic but unsurprising number was published by HFS Research in their Market Vision paper. These results came from surveying over 500 senior executives across the largest companies in the world. Welcome to Conf42 Cloud Native Conference, and thank you for attending this session. I'm Atif Siddiqui, Senior Principal Software Engineer at Silicon Valley Bank, division of First Citizens Bank. This talk will be split over 3 sessions, starting off with Cloud Adoption Framework and why it has to be a starting point for every cloud journey in Azure. Next section will be Azure Landing Zone and the key role it plays in a robust foundation. The third and last session will be about deployment strategy and how to realize this goal. Cloud Adoption Framework is a comprehensive lifecycle framework to guide organizations to success in their cloud journey. The best practices aid organizations in aligning their technical strategies with the business value. The framework provides distinct phases with specific goals, solutions, and benefits. Strategy starts with the question, why are we moving to cloud? The multiple motivations vary from org to org, but it is imperative that motivations are tightly coupled with the business outcomes. On a broader level, there are 3 categories of motivations. Number 1, critical business events such as being on the hook to exit data centers or, for example, dealing with mergers and acquisitions. The second category of motivation is migration such as pursuit of cost savings or raising business agility. The third category is innovation such as scaling to meet market or geographic demands. Plan phase is about transforming strategy into an actionable plan. The application portfolio needs to be analyzed to determine which apps are suitable for migration or modernization. In addition, this phase also brings personnel together. Org alignment, in my mind, is one of the most underrated elements of the framework. This is because the program's success is contingent on a vision that must be shared by all the stakeholders. Another key component of this phase is determining skill readiness. For the people in the trenches to be successful, assessment of the skill set is a requisite to find their gaps. The identified gaps can be bridged via training and upskilling, which brings the necessary expertise into the organization. Ready phase requires defining operational models from the 3 choices of decentralized, centralized, or distributed operations. This phase also includes the highlight of this talk, Azure Landing Zone and its implementation. Migrate phase provides the best practices for migrating workloads to Azure. Based on workload assessment, there are choices to consider. Rehost, aka lift and shift, versus refactor versus replatform. Since a salient purpose of innovation is to drive business value, what is business value needs to be formally and mutually defined by the stakeholders. Building the first minimum viable product, MVP, and measuring the customer impact are also considerations within the innovation phase. The significance of secure phase should require no introduction. It is an area that industry trends repeatedly remind requires more and more focus to be able to safeguard enterprise data and intellectual property. While adoption focuses on getting you into the cloud, ongoing operation is what draws out the business deliverables. Every workload needs to be managed for its business criticality with focus both on cost and SLAs. Government phase is an iterative process to ensure application portfolio complies with the corporate and, as applicable, any regulatory compliance requirements. In the cloud space, it seems enterprises struggle with the dual challenge of harnessing innovation while maintaining a robust security posture. Azure Landing Zone is the antidote to this enterprise challenge. It delivers an environment that adheres to key principles across 8 design areas. Azure Billing and Intertenant is the first design area and deals with the top 2 levels of alignment. as depicted on the slide. It deals with billing and the entertainment that it is encompassed by. Identity and access management is another critical area that establishes secure access controls. In addition to the focus on authentication and authorization, it also caters to separation of duties. A significant number of enterprises have their own data center, which means hybrid connectivity will be a requirement. Resource organization plans for how resources will be organized and the use of consistent patterns in regard to resource naming, tagging, and subscription designs. Scope of security transcends into all areas of the Azure ecosystem, including network and workloads. In addition to industry standards such as NIST, Microsoft provides its own security benchmarks and attestation. Management is a design area led by Cloud Ops team. It focuses on business alignment and cloud management. Through engagements with business stakeholders, SLAs such as RTO and RPO can be agreed upon. Governance is an iterative process. The team plays an overarching role to focus on enforcement of compliance and security requirements. For the last design area, platform automation and DevOps, the cloud platform team drives automation and should lead the way for the adoption of infrastructure as code options. One piece of information that I've withheld up to this point is that on a high level, there are actually two types of landing zone. Platform landing zone centralizes the shared services that are generally considered foundational. Example, networking and identity. Application landing zone is the second type of landing zone, and this is where subscriptions for application workloads reside. To create isolation between internet-facing and internal workloads, Microsoft recommends subcategories. They've chosen the name online for public and corporate for private workloads. This slide provides a visual insight into how Microsoft advocates architecture for landing zone. At the highest level, there are 4 management groups. Aside from the first two, platform and application, that I've already talked about, the third management group is for subscriptions that are intended to be retired or decommissioned. The fourth management group is sandbox. The primary reason for having a dedicated management group is to isolate sandbox subscription from all other types of subscriptions. To take the conceptual architecture of Azure Landing Zone to reality, Microsoft provides accelerators. The accelerator is the most efficient way to implement the landing zone. There are actually 3 ways to perform the execution. Azure Portal, Bicep, which is Microsoft's own domain-specific declarative language, and the third option being HashiCorp's Terraform. Out of the 3 implementation options, I was focusing on Terraform because as infrastructure as code tool, it has a huge presence in enterprise. Among other reasons, because enterprises are increasingly heading towards a multi-cloud strategy. To Microsoft's credit, they have published modules for the landing zone in Terraform's public registry as well as in GitHub. There is detailed documentation that provides guidance from simple to advanced use cases for the landing zone. The execution has been done, how the landscape looks like. I realize this is a busy diagram, so let's focus in on a few areas that kind of ties back to this talk. Notice the 4 high-level management groups: platform, application, decommission, and sandbox. Then within platform, you have those 3 shared services: identity, management, and connectivity. So for example, in this case, connectivity is doing the hub and spoke model, and then you have the identity subscription here. Similarly, your application workloads reside under this management group as depicted here. The subject of cloud adoption framework and Azure Landing Zone on an enterprise scale is an expansive topic. Given the breadth of this topic, I hope I've been able to give you a condensed flavor.